In the autumn of 1959, on the back of a pickup truck, a 3-ton block of ice traveled 8,500 kilometers, from the edge of the Arctic Circle, to the equator in Central Africa. Driving through the huge Sahara Desert, where temperatures reach up to 50 degrees, this was all a part of the 4-week adventure. During this entire time no refrigeration was used. The idea for this ice block expedition was by Radio Luxembourg, which issued a challenge to transport 3 tons of ice from the Arctic Circle to the equator. The condition was that no form of refrigeration should be used. Confident that no one would be able to pull this off, the station announced a reward of 100,000 francs for each kilogram that remained after reaching the destination. Birger Natfik, the managing director at the insulation material company Glassvatt, saw the announcement and suggested that the company will take up the challenge. Natfik figured that if they carefully wrap the ice with glass wool made from fiberglass, they could minimize ice melt, and the company could stand to make several hundred million in francs. Glassvatt declared that they accept the challenge, and at once there was a furor across the nation. People debated how much ice would be lost in the journey, and the media speculated how much money the company was staked to make. When Radio Luxembourg realized their folly and the potential loss they would face, they retracted the offer. By this point, however, the planned expedition had received so much attention that Glassvatt decided to go through with it anyway. They decided that the expedition would be an opportunity to show the quality of their insulation material. Other companies also wanted to be a part of it. Shell provided the fuel, and Scania provided the truck. Altogether, sponsors from 8 countries financed the expedition. The ice was procured from the glacier Svartisen, about 40 kilometers north of the small Nor-wegian town of Mo-i-Rana, situated just south of the Arctic Circle. The crew cut 200 kilograms blocks with chainsaw, and airlifted them to the town center, where they were melted together to make a single block of ice weighing 3,050 kilograms. The block was placed in a specially constructed iron container, which was insulated with wood and glass wool. The container was placed on top of a truck that would carry it all the way to the equator, accompanied by a van carrying equipment and a sedan with a film crew. The expedition left Mo-i-Rana on February 22, 1959. Through Europe, the expedition was met with ceremony wherever they stopped. In Paris, the expedition was escorted by police through the streets, and the crew members were invited to dine with the mayor. At Marseille, the truck was lifted aboard a freighter and sailed across the Mediterranean. When it landed in Algiers, the container was drained to see how much of the ice had melted. In spite of the unusually hot European weather that season, only 4 liters of water had been shed. The first leg of the expedition through Europe was easy. What lay ahead proved to be difficult: the vast sands of the Sahara. To make matter worse, Algeria was in the midst of a violent war. The war for independence against the French colonists. Under these circumstances, it was foolhardy for an European expedition to make a crossing through an African nation. However, it was the elements that posed the biggest risks. There were no roads in the desert, and the heavily loaded truck got stuck in the sand several times. Each time the crew had to get out in the hot sun and spend hours digging under the wheels. The men were exhausted, their supply of water was limited, and the temperature often soared to 50 degrees centigrade during the day. Finally, after 27 days of driving, the expedition arrived at its final destination of Libreville. The block of ice, which was almost entirely intact, was weighed, and to everyone's surprise, the ice had lost only 336 kilograms along the way, or to say just 11% of its initial weight. The ice was cut up and divided between the African locals, who had never seen ice before. The expedition turned out to be one of the biggest publicity stunt ever conducted, and a pretty successful one at that. It not only accomplished the goal it had set out to accomplish, but also helped to generate massive worldwide press coverage for the